Hey, friends, welcome to this week's episode of Not Your Mama's Podcast. I'm so excited. Today we have Bradley, a transformative advocate who turned his weight loss journey into a passion for personal growth. From male modeling to coaching, he now empowers others in health and finances, co-founding Empower Men for Holistic Transformation. Brad, thank you so much for coming on the show today. It's such an honor to have you on.
Thank you so much, Christina. I love that introduction. I'm just going to use that, and I'm just going to tell everyone to use that same intro because that was just so seamless and flattering, and it just flowed so nicely. So thank you.
Oh, yeah, you're welcome. I'm really excited to dive into the topic today, talking about fatherhood and like men empowerment. But, there are so much information out there. There's videos, there's books, we have all the information out there. But why is it that people do not achieve their goals?
I mean, look, we know that information has been at our fingertips since pretty much the internet, right? When Google had its search engine, we were like, okay, anything in the world we want to accomplish is right there. And yet we still have people that are overweight, that are in debt, that have not found peace in their relationships, all these things. And it's because there's over information and there's under execution or under
Exactly.
implementation. So all these things that we need to do, it really comes down to what are we doing to accomplish it and how consistent are we? And then when you dissect, why aren't people consistent? Why is it so difficult for people to do the things they need to do? They know they need to do. That's a different conversation. That's where you really find some solutions. And that's where I believe accountability is one, but also environment is massive.
Mhm.
And I live in Southern California, in West Hollywood, and I'm surrounded by $14 smoothies and organic salads and lots of gyms and fitness studios, and it's 75 and sunny. And so it's easy for me to be healthier in physical health, also easier for me to be lost in vanity because of my environment, and other people in other surroundings where it's freezing cold and they're around unhealthy food options and all this stuff. That's what's normal to them. So to me, those are the two things that really dictate our trajectory, is just environment and if we're being accountable to something bigger, whether it's another person or it's just a why that is strong enough for us to look at ourselves in the mirror and actually take the right action every single day.
Yeah. I know you like to talk about and like help people with like their finances and things like that. And I know that's something that, you have to like always like constantly be thinking about and making that commitment. What are some ways that people can get better with like their money this year? And where do you recommend they begin?
I mean, what's interesting is that I've lost weight as a kid, and then I've gone through, a lot of financial training and help clients with that. And it's the same thing. It's really
Mhm.
just becoming aware of where your situation is right now, getting enough information, and then just having daily habits that back it up ongoing. Because whether it's your health or your finances, it's a lifelong journey. And so if you're looking to just get in better financial shape, it's really all right, I got to set a time with my partner, or if it's just you, where I got 90 minutes to go through my entire income statement, my credit cards, my bank statement. I just want to see everything that is going on and get a
Mhm.
clear picture, because you can't really do anything without a clear picture. If you go, if your car is making a sound, you go to the mechanic, and the mechanic's like, great, drop it off and I'll look under the hood. And you say, no, you can't look under the hood. Let me just describe. It's just kind of making this noise, but I won't let you really look under the hood and see exactly what's going on. You're not going to know. So, I
Yeah.
mean, for me, I hate the word budgeting. I hate how dry and boring, and
Yeah.
it's like taxes, the DMV, administrative work. There's all these things where I go, like, it should be a lot simpler. And
Yeah.
so for me, it's like once you have a clear picture, it's eliminate waste, which is just parking tickets, it's the unused memberships, it's the stuff that you're not getting any value from, and then it's just spending with more intention and attention. And then you really see, all right, this gym membership, or this whatever, this Netflix membership, brings me so much value for the price, and just being more mindful of that, and then just investing heavily. And then those are my three things. That's all I do, is eliminate as much waste as possible, spend with as much intention and attention as possible, and
Mhm.
then invest heavily. And that's the investing is usually in myself first, and then it's other investments after that.
Yeah, no, and I think the important key is like investing in yourself first. Hey, parents, listen up. I've got a game changer for you. The Addicted Child, A Parent's Guide to Adolescent Substance Abuse by Richard Capriola. And here's the kicker. Richard spills the beans on explaining substance used by today's adolescents and how drugs work in the teen brain. He's even included important warning signs for self-harm and eating disorders and how to find the right help for your teen. And the best part is, you're getting all of these mind-blowing insights without breaking the bank. If you're a parent or know someone who is, this book is going to be your secret weapon. Kindle or paperback, grab your copy on Amazon or go to theaddictedchild.com. The insights in this book are pure gold. And spread the word, share the love, and let's empower ourselves with knowledge. And that brings me to a good point. I kind of want to switch gears a little bit because I loved the conversation that we were having a little bit earlier before we started recording. And I just wanted to know, like, why did you create like Empowerment, and what is the mission behind it?
I mean, Empower Men is a transformation for men, a lot of
Mhm.
fathers, a lot of husbands, to regain confidence, to lose the weight that they had put
Mhm.
on because their family life, their career life, just the obligations have really piled on. And so health obviously gets harder when you get into your 30s and then 40s and then 50s. But a lot of men, they feel lonely. Their health is gone, their confidence has gone with it, their
Yeah.
zest for life is gone. And then another big issue is that testosterone levels for men have plummeted decade after decade. And so you have a lot of hormone disruptors in the environment, in our skincare products, in our food,
No.
all of this. And so when testosterone is low, and I speak from someone who had low testosterone in his early 30s, you don't have a drive. You don't have a drive, not just sexually, but in terms of building a career, in terms of going on adventures, in terms of just attacking life the way you did when you were in your 20s. And when I learned that there are men in their 60s, back in the 1960s, that have the same level of testosterone as men in their 20s now, I was like, this is horrible. Well, like, so the first thing was for me is just, I want to be in an optimal, healthy space, because if I
Mhm.
invest in myself there, I'm going to have the energy to do all these things. And so Empowerment is a movement to help the everyday father, everyday husband who has kids, who has a career, who understands that the middle class is getting forced out, and rent is higher than ever, mortgages are higher, inflation, and help them afford optimal health so they can be the best father, the best husband, the best professional possible. And so it's really a culmination of my entire life, as well as my business partner Gil's entire life, and what we're most passionate about and what has helped us the most.
Yeah. Hey there, amazing listeners. I've got something super special to share with you today. Have you ever felt like there's just not enough hours in the day to juggle everything, from family to business and everything in between? Well, if you have, you are not alone. Our incredible author, Jill, knows exactly how you feel. She's on a mission to help super moms like you and me develop their own personal time management framework. No more mom brain, forgetting appointments, or feeling like you are drowning in responsibilities. Jill's book, Happy, Healthy, and Wise, is not your typical self help guide. It's a treasure trove of hard won wisdoms for human perspective, offering unique, effective, and thought provoking ways to change your life. And the best part is, it's not difficult, time consuming, or scary. So you can grab your book on Amazon or head over to Jill's website, www.jillwright.ca. Trust me, this is a game changer and you don't want to miss it. Yeah. So as the co-founder of Empowerment, like what community-based strategies have proven effective for everyday men seeking affordable investments in their health?
the way our community works is that we have courses there talking about these are 51 plus quick hitting hacks to save you big money, because financial literacy is not taught. So here's some stuff to help you shave off some of these expenses and help you direct it into something that's going to be more beneficial for you and your family. But in terms of what's really making a difference, because we have a couple guys now, both of them fathers, both of them with 2 kids, both of them professionals, have 40-hour plus work weeks. One guy has a 20-hour week side business. He lost 26 pounds in 1 month, which is like stupid. No hormones, no supplements, no fat loss things. Just he's like, I got to do it for my kids, right?
Mhm.
And I asked him, I said, so what really clicked for you? Like, what is it for you? And he said, the calls, the accountability calls. We have 4 calls, 4 optional calls a week. He says, I just plug in because all my friends are just, they're content. They're okay with just watching football and drinking beer and all this. And I know that my daughter and my son deserve more. And so what we found is that there are other guys out there that want better, but
Mhm.
it's hard to do better for yourself when you feel like you're the only one. And so these guys are in Tampa, Florida, they're in Austin, Texas, they're in Big Bear, California. And yet we all come together knowing that, hey, we want to do better for ourselves. And just facilitating that for these guys, it's been very fulfilling. But that's what they've needed, is just the ability to say, hey, this is what I'm struggling with. And I just need someone to believe in me and hold me accountable the way I always had growing up.
Yeah, no, I love that. I think, sometimes men get lost in society. Women are very like, oh, here we are, like equality, which is great. But sometimes we forget that men need mental health too. They have a lot to burden and a lot to carry. And sometimes I feel like they're forgotten about because they are struggling and they need resources. And it's like sometimes, like maybe they were lacking things in their childhood that they want to bring to the table with their relationships now with their children and their spouse and stuff. And it's like, well, how do I even do that if I'm, have all these like past traumas, etc. So I think it's great to have, resources like you that men can go to, and, even for women to kind of like understand like what their husband's going through, so that they can show up and be there for them too.
Yeah, what's interesting is, like, so I love personal development. That's the one thing
Mhm.
I my confidence is based on how much personal growth I've done. And so one cool thing of that, what we're doing is every month there's a book of the month. And these are books that some of the guys may have heard of, but they haven't read, or it's like, whatever, isn't that a girl thing? And so for December, our monthly theme is relationships. And so we have Jay Shetty's 8 Rules of Love. And I haven't read it yet, but I said, hey, you know what? We need to become better husbands as well, better spouses, and
Mhm.
increase our emotional intelligence, because
Yeah.
we need to do that for everyone's sake. But we
Yeah.
don't want to get to the point where we're making all the money, we're doing all this, and yet our EQ is so low that we are now causing these other issues in our life. And a lot of people only, especially men, get to the point where they look at the inner the inner child, healing the inner child,
Mhm.
all the traumas, when they go through something horrific. And I said, well, why does it have to be that way when we could learn about this stuff before it gets to that point?
Yeah.
Same as before the doctor says you have 6 months to live because you've been ignoring your health, and now you have you're 400 pounds and you have these health issues. Let's see if what we can do before we have that big wake up call from the world.
Exactly. Well, Brad, it is time for Not Your Mama's podcast, Power Mom Chronicles, and I cannot wait to dive into these questions and hear your answers. And my first one to you is, what's a game-changing life lesson life has taught you?
you know the pivotal point for me was just how in control I am of my life, right? Because before, if you watch the news growing up and all this, and you have parents that are complaining about things and, oh, my boss this, you just feel like, all right, I'm just a flag in the wind, and wherever the wind goes, that's where I'm going to wind up. And
Yeah.
now, just knowing that, wow, I live in a free country and I can go in whatever direction I want, and I have all the information, all the wisdom of the greatest people to ever live at my fingertips, and I can absorb that if I want. So just being able to know that I'm in control of way more than I used to think has been huge.
Yeah. Yeah. We really can, only thing we can't control is ourselves. So, I mean, it's an important thing to learn how to manage to be able to do. Okay. So my
That's all
second,
we got until the rest of the for our rest of our life is ourself. That's
exactly.
guaranteed.
Yeah. So my second question is, reflecting back on your journey, what practical lessons or insights can our listeners apply to improve their own lives?
See, the thing I would say is probably the thing they're doing already.
Mhm.
And back in 2014, I was living in South Beach, Miami, and I'd gotten the biggest validation was that I'd lost weight and now I was a male model. Wow, this is the coolest thing, all this. But I'd gotten so far out of personal development that I met one guy, one very charismatic model guy, and he's like, oh, he was all into Tony Robbins, all this stuff. And he reignited the passion in me to just go back down that rabbit hole because I was in this very egoic space of modeling and entertainment and look at me and all that.
Mhm.
And I said, all right, well, it's November 2014. There's this thing called podcasts. And instead of walking around South Beach every morning as my fasted cardio and listening to music, let me just listen to one podcast per day, just one podcast per day on anything that is going to help me improve. And based on whatever's important, is it physical health? Is it financial? Is it relational? Is it spiritual? Just one a day. That one habit from 2014 up until now has been almost a decade of just incredible growth, incredible wisdom, but also just confidence knowing that I'm getting better tomorrow. So I think anything personal development related is just at the end of it, are you excited about who you're becoming and being
Yeah.
more excited about who you'll be tomorrow versus the person that's always reminiscing about the past?
Yeah. To be excited about your future self, like, and envision who that is, and then I think the only way to look back is just like, wow, look how far you've come, and like, wow, you see, you can do it and you did do it. And then my third question is, offer a piece of wisdom to moms or dads, striving to find their strength, and their voice.
I mean, I would say if you're looking to find it, keep looking. Your kids are counting on you. There was a guy that I'd messaged a couple weeks ago who had lost a lot of weight, and he wasn't part of our group or anything. But I said, "Hey, what inspired you?" And he said, "The way that my 6-year-old son looks at me is just such a different look, and I wanted to be the one that he could look up to and not be forced to look up to another person's dad." And that
Mhm.
really hit home because I don't have
Yeah.
kids, but I want to be the father that my daughter or my son looks up to and is not forced to look up to someone else's mom or dad.
Yeah. Oh, wow. That's pretty powerful. And then the fourth question is the best advice you've ever received.
You know what? Honestly, I think the best advice is probably something I found on Google back in the day or heard on a podcast. But I'll quote Ed Milet, who's one of my favorite entrepreneurs and definitely a mentor in a way. But he always says, everything in life is happening for you and not to you. And it's such a short quote. But when you just flip that mentality and you just look through life at that lens of, it's happening for me. And sometimes you just have to really look at that silver lining or really have faith that even though it doesn't make sense, there is something, whether it's I'm getting a lot of strength, my character is getting developed, whatever it is. Like life is just way more enjoyable through that lens.
Yeah. Yeah. Changing the lens perspective is such a big game changer because, life's a mental game and it's like, how are you going to look at it? Are you going to look at negative? Are you going to gloat and pout about it? Or are you going to try to find solutions and be positive and look into things, full and not empty?
100%.
Yeah. Well, Brad, thank you so much for coming on this week's episode of Not Your Mama's Podcast. All of his links are down below in the show notes. Don't be shy. Go say hi. And I hope to see you all in the next one. Thank you.
Thanks, Christina.